Okay, so a notorious pass rusher finds himself on the open market. Could the Eagles strike? Meanwhile, some of the biggest Jalen Hurts haters are talking so much for all. But that's not all. Justin Simmons making another plea to join the Philadelphia Eagles. Plus, Brandon Graham says the Eagles' offense is going to look different. And where did this Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown as a duo disrespect come from? What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast. If you rock with our Philadelphia Eagles, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the videos. So as we sit patiently waiting for the Eagles schedule release to come out on May 14th at 8 p.m., which I'll be live for, national media pundits, mainly the biggest hater on TV, Chase Daniels, continues to disrespect Jalen Hurts. I'm not even going to play the clips on my show anymore, but I always have to correct something that is so ridiculous. The topic was, of course, is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback? The list that presented their top 5 quarterbacks had Jalen on it, and a lot of people in the facility said yes, but of course, Chase Daniels said no. Then, somehow, the conversation turned into Jalen Hurts versus Joe Burrow, and Chase said, if you take Jalen Hurts and put him on a Cincinnati Bengals team, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs with Joe Burrow. So I really don't understand what he was talking about there. And this is not me trying to argue who's the better quarterback, Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow, back in his defense and blah, 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 blah. However, last year, the Eagles didn't have Saquon Barkley or the best defense in the NFL. In 2023, we were 30th in points allowed and 26th in total yards. However, Jalen Hurts made the playoffs. Matter of fact, his first year starting, no Saquon Barkley, no A.J. Brown, and not that good of a defense, and he made the playoffs. I mean, the season before he got handed the keys to be a starter, the Eagles won 4 games, fired a coach, and somehow, with one wide receiver and Miles Sanders, he made the playoffs. For some quarterbacks, winning looks one way. For Jalen Hurts, winning is always going to look different. Sometimes pretty, sometimes not, but he gets the job done. This is one of the reasons why. April 23, back in 2020, Nicole Lynn, Jalen Hurts' agent, this is what she said. Hey, good luck. What are you up to? Jalen, I'm about to go throw. Her, now? It's draft day. And this is why he's going to make a great pro. The grind literally never stops for him. These motherfuckers gotta stop hating on my boy. Let's change the subject, though. Jeremy Fowler tweeted yesterday that the Panthers are releasing edge rusher Jadeveon Clowney per sources. Now, I know, I feel like we always talk about Jadeveon Clowney as a possible free agent for the Philadelphia Eagles for like the last 3 to 5 years. However, last year with the bad Carolina Panthers, he had 5.5 sacks and is still a force as a run defender. The previous year, he was with the Baltimore Ravens. As you can see in these clips, he's always on the left side of the screen. He was active as a pass rusher and a run stopper, and he finished that season on a respectable team with 9.5 sacks. One of the biggest Ravens content creators on YouTube who I talked to on Twitter wants him back. So if a guy who saw him all 2023 and didn't re-sign him is willing to take him back, I think there's some gas left in the tank, and I know we have a bunch of pass rushers, but he would be our veteran guy. Both edge rushers we lost in Josh Sweat and BG were not only quality players versus the run and pass, but they were the old vets in the room. But to the point I bet a bunch of y'all make in the comment section, I'm not dying for this, simply because I love the pass rush group we have. They're young, they're hungry, and we've been winning with the young guys. But even when we had the young guys, we still had some veteran players, so we'll see how everything shapes out. I would only consider this if the Eagles were able to trade or release Bryce Huff, if his money's off the books, if he's out of here. Then I would bring in a guy like Jadeveon Clowney. If not, I'm ready to rock with the young, hungry pass rushers. Switching gears to the national media trying to play the Eagles wide receiver duo. Since the Cowboys traded for George Pickens, people are talking about who's your top 5 wide receiver duo. Some had the Cowboys in, some didn't. But this dude went on national TV and put the Eagles wide receiver duo as the 5th best in the NFL. I mean, Miami, Vikings, Detroit, all in front of the Birds? Crazy. Anyways, Brandon Graham was on the show and he got it right.
Who do you got at number one?
You know who I got number one. You know who I got. Because I believe them boys going back again.
They're going back again.
And I'm excited because, with Jalen and those guys, AJ and Devontae, you see those catches that the boys making out there.
Yep.
And it's trending in this way. I feel like it's going to be more of a balanced offense this year, and they're going to get it all together. And, the Eagles, my Eagles going back to the Super Bowl.
I like it.
That's my first take on that.
Had to manually write number 2 the Lions and number 3 the Rams due to, I guess he kind of washed it off when he was pulling it up. So excited. But something interesting there. We know how good the Eagles wide receiver duo is. I don't care what anybody says. We know. What I found more interesting in what he had to say is he thinks the Eagles are going to sling the rock more this year. He used the word balance than they even did in 2024. Again, Jalen and company will eat. Now, as the Eagles start winning that way, teams will adjust. Saquon Barkley's going to get his, but I do think this offense is going to be more dynamic and more open to a lot of different things. As AJ always says, you got to evolve. And after our first Super Bowl run, we didn't really evolve, and we paid the price. I think everybody in the locker room learned from that, simple and plain. Now, before we continue, I do want to let y'all know that the Philly Talk podcast is now on audio, wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Search in the Philly Talk podcast. It's my logo, but it's green. If you could do me a favor and subscribe, listen to an episode, give me a 5-star rating and leave a comment, it will help. Since I'm new on there, just trying to push it out to the people who like to listen on audio only. And those of you who entered the Jalen Hurts jersey giveaway right before the draft, the drawing will be coming up in one of my videos early next week, so stay tuned for that. Speaking of podcasts, Cooper DeJean and Blankenship teased their new podcast, Exciting Mics, premiering May 15th, one day after the schedule release. I don't know about y'all, but I'm definitely going to be tuned into this. I think there's going to be a lot of good nuggets from that podcast. Lastly, Philadelphia Eagles Central tweeting, developing. Justin Simmons says he wants to come to Philadelphia and join the Eagles per Brian Baldinger of the NFL. Baldy said, and I quote, he wants to be in Philadelphia. Just find him a house in South Jersey and he's going to be here, which is not breaking news. We've been knew that Justin Simmons wants to play for the Eagles, wants to play for Fangio and Christian Parker. However, with the Eagles drafting safety early in round number 2, the safety out of Texas, Andrew Makumba, who's a legit playmaker, a heavy hitter, and I believe is going to compete for the starting job with Cindy Brown, I don't know if we even need him anymore. Depth at all positions are important. Makumba actually played a little bit in the nickel, so you never know when injuries happen here, there, anywhere on your defense. So it's good to have multiple players. At this point, it's almost like Justin Simmons is begging to be a Philadelphia Eagle. If that's the case, Howie Roseman, bring him in. Let him know it's going to be a very cheap contract, that he's not going to be an automatic starter. Shoot, he might not even be second string. He got to compete to see where he ranks amongst the safeties we have on this roster. If he's willing to do that, okay. If not, we don't bring him in. And even if we do bring him in and it don't work out, he's on a cheap deal. Bye-bye. Again, I used to really be on the Justin Simmons train, and I think he's still a good player and could thrive in his system, but it's definitely not a necessity anymore because I think we're going to be all right. Mind you, one of my favorite UDFAs was the safety out of Toledo, Maxon Hook. Not just because he knows Quinyon Mitchell, but I love his tape. He low-key reminds me of a Blankenship type player, and a lot of people had him getting drafted in the late rounds, but somehow the Eagles found him in a UDFA market, and I'm glad he's on our team. Let's see if he can get a spot on the roster. Not saying he's in a position to start or even compete for a starting job. He needs to just make the roster. With that being said, I go by Philly Mike. This is the Philly Talk Podcast. Do your boy a favor. Hit the like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live, which we're doing a lot more often, and drop videos. Also, go check me out on audio, all platforms. I really appreciate it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Muscle up if you're Philly strong, and I'll catch you on the next one. We out.